This is the only way to get 5% or higher response rates with B2B email. I'm not going to be talking theory here. I'm going to be telling you the exact strategy that I used with one of my clients to get them an average of 7% reply rates on a campaign that got them $60 million in pipeline. In this video, I'm going to pull the strategy from that campaign and any campaign that I've used to get over 5% reply rates. No fluff, no outdated tactics, just what actually works. First, you need to understand why most B2B emails get ignored. Most people are telling you that email is dead. It doesn't work as a channel anymore. Nobody answers. It's all just spam. It's just not true. There are millions of people that are sending millions of emails a day. Most of business correspondence is happening over email, still to this day. Email is far from dead. There's just a couple people that are winning at the top. So here's where the majority of email outreach is going wrong. And really, I'd summarize it in just 3 points. 1, you have the wrong offer. 2, you have the wrong audience. Or 3, you have the wrong messaging. Most of the time, I wouldn't be surprised if it was all 3. When was the last time you got an email that you looked at and you just said, this is not something I'm interested in, this is not something I've ever asked for, and this doesn't even look like a human wrote it? Most people spray and pray. They just take a guess at the message, they don't bother to research, they just throw a big enough net, and then they default to just some generic template. That's why most of what you see in your inbox looks like spam, because it is spam. Those are the players that give email marketing a bad rep. Because truth be told, this actually does work when you do have an offer that's relevant to someone and you give it to them at the time that they need it. They'll be glad that you sent them a message. So the number one thing you can do to consistently up your reply percentage is simple. Just have an offer that somebody wants. Then when you reach out to them, it's not going to be weird or unneeded or spammy because it's something that they actually want. We're going to go a little bit deeper into that. But at the end of the day, if you nail that, then you're never going to come off as spam. Do you ever complain about the ads that you get for stuff you already looked up? No, nobody ever complains about it because it's stuff that they looked up. It's stuff that they wanted. If anything, they just feel kind of guilty because it's showing up and they're tempted to buy it. That's the effect of a good email campaign. So the first part of that is building your audience list. How do you get a hyper-targeted lead list that gets replies? The number one thing that you do is you seek intent. You try to find where people are already looking for your services. And then you need to find the people that actually can make the decision to buy. So right out the gates, you want to get the right titles. That's going to be decision makers typically, unless you have some kind of product that somebody maybe less senior would be able to use and they don't need to get approval for. This is typically going to be director level, C-suite level, VP levels, that kind of senior. You should still do your due diligence and make sure that you are not getting a bunch of other unneeded contacts on your list. The reason most lists have unqualified leads is because most databases can't categorize every single person in every job and every title all the time accurately. It's a limitation that's getting better every single day, but we still have to navigate it and make sure that we are not sending emails to people that don't care about it. When I'm building my list, I typically cite for 2 things: authority and urgency. Once you've nailed your industry, you need to make sure that you talk to someone that has the authority to make a purchasing decision. And then even better if you can find someone who urgently needs to fix it. Authority comes from the right people in the senior positions that can make buying decisions. Pretty simple. You can go to ChatGPT and you can just ask it, hey, who can make a buying decision for X? If you have a sales tool, then you are going to need VPs of sales, directors of sales, but you wouldn't take it down to a sales manager who manages just a small team in a larger enterprise. Then you want to find people that urgently need your solution. The way you can do that is look for people that might have the intent. There's a couple ways to do this. So in the example of you have a sales tool, then you might want to start by looking at people that have a CRM that you know is old and outdated. You can find websites that report this data to you. You can reach out to them and say, hey, I have this tool. It has this feature that I know your tool doesn't have. Another one is looking at job postings. You can go and see who is looking for a sales rep or hiring for sales roles. Those are indicators that they have something they're trying to fix. Another place to look is who just got funding. If they just got funding, then they are mandated to grow. They are looking for new solutions that can get them going faster. Your solution might be a fix for them. Those are what I call true intent. And there's a difference between true intent and what I call just surface level targeting. Surface level targeting does work. Don't get me wrong. If you have a solution that helps an entire industry, then you can cast a pretty wide net and you can expect to get people in the door. The difference is that you're going to get people in all different parts of the buying decision process. You're going to get people that have no need for it at all and they just switch to another solution, and you're going to get people that are desperate for it and want you to sign up with them now. Just as important as it is to cast a wide net, it's also important to find out who are your most likely candidates and have another campaign going in parallel. Then comes the actual copy for the email. Most people way overcomplicate this, and they try to get as much information and as much context as they can into those first couple lines. Your first line is probably the most important line in the email, aside from your subject line that gets them to open it. And your first line needs to quickly tell them what you do, because if it is not relevant, they are going to assume it's spam. They already don't know you. Here's where most people get it wrong, is that they think they need to address that it's a cold email first and say, hey, sorry for bothering you, or hey, yeah, it's a cold email, but don't click away. Or they go too formal, or they go way too informal. All of this stuff doesn't make any sense. If you want to cut through the noise, then the most important thing that you can do is have a great offer. If your offer is good and you're sending it to someone who needs it, then it's going to cut through the noise. So cut to the chase. It's hook, value, call to action. An example of a good first line: hey, first name, I saw that you were hiring for a sales operator role. We have a sales tool that categorizes all of your data with AI and puts it into your CRM so that reps don't mess up your data. Can I send you a quick 5-minute demo on it? You show that you understand they have a problem they're trying to fix, and then your offer is good because you understand that 1, reps are often messing up data, and 2, you have a solution to fix it. A lot of people think that you need to personalize it by saying, hey, I noticed it was your birthday, happy birthday, or oh, I noticed that the Orioles are playing this weekend. None of that stuff matters. You want to make it personal to them. You want them to care about your email. Don't waste their time. Get right to the chase and then tell them exactly what you're there for. Another one could be, hey, first name, I noticed you guys are using Klaviyo for your email marketing. We just got this popular brand to up to 20% opt-ins on their site. Do you want to see if we can do something similar for you? Really basic. Your offer must be great, and you have to obviously be sending to the right person. We're going to dig into this just a little bit more. This is the cold email structure that you're going to need. It's a 3-part flow. As I said, hook, value, and offer, and CTA. I'm going to use the exact same messages that I just showed you, and we'll break it down line by line. Each of these will lead with relevance, it'll inject value, and it'll make the call to action, the CTA, frictionless. Here's the first one. Hey, first name, saw you were hiring for a sales operator role. Our sales tool categorizes data into your CRM with AI so that reps don't ruin your data quality with a 98% accuracy. Can I send you a 5-minute demo? Now you need to take a step back. If you were in the position of the sales operator and you were hiring, now you need to take a step back. If you were in the position of someone on the senior level of sales and you were hiring for a sales operator role and you were going to leverage them to fix this exact problem in your organization, is this a call that you would take? The answer is 100%. And also notice the value is the offer. A lot of people think that they need to go and they need to have case studies and they need to personalize and they need to have all of these different things. The point of all enrichment is just to make it relevant. But if you can get a good signal, you don't need to overcomplicate it. In fact, a shorter email is always going to outperform a longer email with a bunch of useless information about their wife's anniversary and that their kids have a soccer game coming up. Now, and this one's a little bit different because we injected some social proof. So, hey, first name, saw you use Klaviyo for email marketing. We did some research. This is relevant. This also gives context as to why I'm replying. Hey, I did some research on you guys. I'm not just emailing you out of the blue. Our tool is doubling the number of opt-ins from visitors on your site pop-up. That's the value. You don't need to justify it with anything else because they can make the connection. This guy is going to tell me about doubling the number of opt-ins from visitors. Now, if that's valuable to them, they will reply. And in this case, they probably would because this is a valuable offer. The unfortunate truth is that sometimes your offer may not be strong enough. That doesn't mean it won't work, but it might not be targeting enough people. Now, here's the social proof. We just got brand to 20% opt-ins from visitors. If you don't know e-commerce, this is a really, really high number. That right there gives some legitimacy to what you're saying. If anything, it kind of rehooks them and just adds some credibility to what you are doing. Now, I even want to go so far as to say that you don't even need that line. It just helps. You could just say, hey, we are doubling opt-ins. And if your offer is strong enough, people will reply. I know this from experience. But then we go to the call to action. Can I send you a free trial? That is frictionless. Of course, people are going to be okay with that. Last note on this, you'll notice that this wasn't a really long email. I didn't have a bunch of details. I didn't have personalization that told them about how I knew that the Orioles were in town or that they have a birthday coming up or that Mercury is in retrograde. All I had was the offer and a little bit of relevance and an easy call to action. Clarity will always beat cleverness. I'm not saying don't use any. It's always good to have some humor or try different angles. But just know it's not the end-all be-all. You need a strong offer to succeed. You don't need more personalization. You need a better offer. Then there's the follow-up. The follow-up sequence will double your replies. Over half my responses come from follow-ups, and I'll show you exactly what I mean in one of these examples right here. But not following up is killing your chances. Rather than telling you about why following up is so important, I'll just show you in a campaign that I actually did. Here you can see we had a pretty strong reply rate on our campaign. We had 3 variants of email A, email B, and email C, and we got 5, 2, and 3 replies on each variant. Then in the follow-up, we got 1 reply and then 2 replies on variant A and B respectively. Then we added a 3rd email, and look at how many replies we got. 7. That's more than all of the replies that we got from the second step, and it's more than half of the replies we got from the first step. Keep following up. They will tell you if they don't want it. Don't spam them, and I'll tell you when to stop the campaign, but don't not follow up because they missed your first email. People are busy. They open their phone, they skim it, they don't see it. It's sometimes a good reminder to them that they see your offer and they remind themselves, oh, let me just drop them a quick note. That's why it's always good to have a frictionless CTA, something they can respond to quickly. The 3-part follow-up sequence is really, really simple. The first email is the first email, and it's the most important one because that's the one where you outline your offer. The second email can do 2 things. You can either add another value point to it, or you can provide another case study, adding credibility. Either way, you need to simply and concisely outline your value prop and then have a different CTA. So in the beginning, if you said, hey, would you like to get on a call in your first email? Then in the second one, you might want to say something like, hey, could I send you that case study? Or hey, is this something that's interesting to you? In your third one, this should be your most concise one yet. And it's very, very simple. Ask them something like, hey, is value prop doubling your opt-ins, getting better data accuracy, important or relevant to you right now? No fluff, no frills. That's it. That's all you really need. Typically after that, I would stop following up because at some level, if they haven't responded yet, then they probably aren't interested. Sometimes they honestly haven't seen it or they get caught up and it's never a good time, but you can always get that lead list and you can recycle it again, just as long as you refresh it and make sure that you're talking to the right people and they haven't moved jobs. And then last but not least, once you've launched your campaign, how do you optimize it? How do you make sure that it's performing up to snuff? There's only a couple metrics that you really need to track that tell you how things are going. The first 2 numbers I check are always the reply rate and the positive reply rate. If your overall reply rate is low, either you have really, really bad messaging on your offer is just bad, or, and what's usually the case, is your deliverability sucks, which means that you need to get your tech stack situated. The second one is the positive reply rate, because if you are getting replies, but you're not getting that many positive replies, then again, you need to rework your offer. Something's not landing. It means that you might be landing in mailboxes, but people aren't vibing with what you have to offer. And I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it. Some campaigns, some offers, they're just not good enough to be marketed. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Some campaigns, some offers, they might just not cut it. But for most of the time, you are going to be able to find an angle and you're going to be able to find an audience. But most of the time, you're going to be able to find an angle and an audience that want what you have to sell. So when reply rates are low, the first thing that I'll do is I'll just do a deliverability test. You can just look this up and I'll just see how I'm placing in other inboxes. There's a lot of free options for this, but you just want one that tells you how you're placing into SMTP and Yahoo and Google and Outlook and Office 365 and Google Workspace, the whole 9 yards. The other thing that I always do is wait. The most common mistake that I see when we launch a campaign is not giving it enough time. If you go and send a campaign out and it's been a couple days and you get results or you don't get results, that's not enough time to see how it's actually going to perform. You need to give it at least a week or so. You need to get all of your follow-ups sent out. Once you see those results after a couple of weeks, I start to tweak things. And the one thing I always do whenever I write a campaign and I launch it, after I've given enough time, once I've reviewed all the other metrics, assuming the technical setup is right, is I'll review the copy, and if anything, I'll just make it simpler. And if I need to make it simpler or I need to change offers, I go to ChatGPT and I ask them very simply, here's my product, here's who I'm going for, tell me all of their biggest pain points and how my product can solve it. Now you have a list of different ideas as to how you could reposition your offer to land with your ideal client. This is the way to get 5% or higher response rates on your B2B email marketing campaigns. If you want me to just build and manage your campaign end to end, including the campaign strategy and copywriting, then schedule a call with me below and we'll get started immediately.